This is Tom Cloud with this week's Precious Metals Market Update. I want to jump right into questions coming in about JP Morgan buying 55 million ounces of silver, and they bought 8 million in the first 2 weeks of April. And I want to put that in context because back, for the ones of you back around in the 1980s, when the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market, JP Morgan now owns 4 times more silver than what they tried to corner the market back in 1981. They continue to add to it and build up, and certainly I can tell you this from doing this for 39 years, it's not bad to be following their lead because there's a reason they're accumulating this silver. And we don't know what it's for exactly or what event it's for or when it's going to happen, but all it takes is JP Morgan going from short the silver market, betting on the market to go down, to long the silver market, bet it going up. So right now they may be buying it and shorting the market where they can buy it at a cheaper price, but at some point they'll all turn to the long side of the market, and then you'll see the price run. I sent out a piece today on Tuesday from the Aiden sisters, for the ones I've been on our mailing list, and they are talking about $22, $24 silver in the near term later this year, which I've talked about since the first year. Even with the current drop, with the pullback over the weekend of silver, we're still up 10% for the year, and I'm still looking for a 20% plus year. But now I think it really is going to be much, much bigger than that. So that's the first thing. The other thing is we just keep seeing the day. How many more days does the dollar have to live? To give you a quick review, going back to 1971 when Nixon cut the gold window out and basically went to fiat currency, where you could not go in and take 35 paper dollars and get your ounce of gold out. You now have been on fiat currency for 44 years, and not one fiat currency in the history of civilization has lived over 50 years. So either the dollar will be the first, or it will fall the same way every other currency has fallen. And that's what I feel is a certainty, that in the next 6 years, and probably a lot less than that, the dollar as we know it will cease to exist because of the debt load that it's carrying. So we're moving in on the end of that. The Austrian bank has a major payment. I forgot the name of the bank, but it's got a payment coming up in June. Historically, June's a fairly quiet month, but there are so many black swan events out there that could happen that could send silver and gold up dramatically. I've told people to be in the gold and silver before the Shemitah months of the biblical cycles in September and October and the Jewish New Year, but I now really believe you need to move that up because this one event in Austria could set off a staggering event of failures in Europe with this little Austrian bank that is due. And then, of course, Greece comes right back in June with the same problems we talked about. They barely made their $715 million or euro interest payment, and now we're talking about billions of dollars of payment that either get defaulted on during the month, and the first one is like next week, and then it goes on to the latter part of the month, and that is still a very serious problem. And remember, any kind of restructuring would send Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Ireland potentially to want restructuring of their deals, and this could push interest rates up and collapse the bond market just like that. So you got to be aware that June has more risk than it usually has. The other thing I want to mention are the COMEX gold holdings that come due next Thursday, and expiration date, and that if they did not put shorts back on, which many people think they won't, you can see gold and silver moving forward. But the biggest news over the weekend has been the Indian situation with monetizing gold, where they now can put it into banks and get interest on it, make it an income-producing asset, and have it covered by the gold they put in there as they borrow against it as collateral. Basically, they can do that, or they can take lease payments. And lastly, the big event that we've all been waiting for could happen as early as June on the naming of how many tons of gold China has as we move toward the IMF putting the Chinese yuan in the basket of currencies on October 20th. So that could happen as early as June or as late as the end of August, but China will name, and you can tell by what Russia and India are doing, they're expecting a lot higher number than what most people are expecting. I think I said last week that they only had 1,082 tons back in 2009 when the United States is the biggest gold holder, supposedly at 8,100 tons. We've seen estimates run as little as 7,000 tons, which would still be mind-boggling, to up to 30,000 tons. And as I said last week, the experts know if the number comes in anywhere over what the United States has, it's high probability that some of the gold China has is gold we're counting as ours, but has been leased out and the Chinese have taken possession of. So this is huge. And we've even seen Jim Willey, the Jackass website, say this weekend everything he's researched shows him that gold is going to run away to as much as 18,000 US dollars per ounce, and it won't take but 2 or 3 years to do. So you've got to be aware there are some black swan events out there that could happen very quickly. Palladium stays on the track. It's just below 800 still. I don't think we're going to see a lot on palladium until we see what happens in Greece, because we do need a growing economy. And if Greece were to default and send the world economies into a tailspin, certainly palladium would go down and not up. So hopefully we'll continue to watch this on a monthly basis. And I continue to tell you, if you need precious metals in your IRA, call us and we'll tell you how to set up a self-directed precious metals IRA where you can own physical gold and silver in your IRA. You can reach us at 800-247-2812. That's 800-247-2812. And the ones of you still holding rare coins, continue to ask you to call and get out of those, because the next move in gold, which we feel very firmly will start this year and as early as next month to as late as September, October, you need to be buying gold bullion for this next move and not gold rare coins. So if you're still holding those, call us and we can go over that. If you're not receiving our email blast about pricing and buy and sell signals and articles of pertinent information, you can sign up for those at FTM Daily /gold, or just hit the precious metals button and you can sign up. We don't share your email with anyone. It's completely confidential. If you don't like the emails, you can unsubscribe at any time. But hopefully the information now will be coming more fast and more furious than it has been, as this thing really is coming to a head. And there's so many things out there that we didn't even mention today that could set off a dollar drop, a bond drop, and a sharp increase in precious metals almost overnight. And we'll talk about supplies next week. With this week's Precious Metals Update, this is Tom Cloud signing out.